Hello, everyone. We're live on our webinar today discussing gender inequality.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to have five main speakers. We're going to start with myself, Yassin Matloug, a political analyst and researcher. After me, we're going to have Wiam Twimi, UN Policy Advisor for Peace and Security and Humanitarian Action, Professor of Sociology in EOI, Hassan Al-Afif, sociologist expert, and Lubna Tazit, HR perspective on this matter. Starting with me, I'm gonna first of all present the inequality of gender in the democratic societies, and then move on to a more narrowed area where I conducted my research, which was in Libya. Starting in democratic countries, and even in democratic countries, we can notice that societies in where even like gender equality is legal and mandated, gender discrimination occurs in politics, and both in regards for presumptions about political alliances that fall along gender lines and desperate gender representation within representative of democracy. And even historically speaking, this was even more true where women were just considered to be not even a full citizen or nor have the right to vote. And through history, we can see that after the Ninth Amendment to constitute and gave women the right to vote, made made our society concentrated about this matter and made it be more valuable. So after the Ninth Amendment, which was done in the 1920s, women have worked in many levels of the government in the United States. In 1981, we can see that President Ronald Reagan named Sandra Day Connor as the first female Supreme Court of Justice. This was a really huge event, especially in American history, where you can see the development of women within the workplace, within getting their right to be equal like men. After that, despite all of these efforts that are done within democratic countries, such as the United States of America, gender stereotypes still exist. Data from 2006 showed that even voters, political voters, for and that have no specific opinion about gender inequality, but without them even knowing, they always expect men to perform better as politicians than women. And this has been a proof within even a democratic society and even a developed society. And because gender is considered like for women to be just a status, just to be a woman, is politically, in a way, just politically incorrect. Women are supposed to have more rights, to be more involved in our society. Same rights as men, same payments, same rights as men, no difference. And this is the problem of society, especially in authoritarian ones. We see that women are always incorporated with household works, taking care of the children, and just basically doing the stuff that were given to her just to do without them given any rights or choice for what the person should do. On my final research, I saw that in Libya after the post Arab Spring, we see that there was a huge political involvement from the society, from the Libyan society, a huge increase in elections, especially done by the UN, where they promoted the Human Rights Watch, of course, and women's rights and youth. They first started in 2011 after the death of Muammar Gaddafi. we see that after 2012, in January, there was a huge level of nationalism in the country, which led them in promoting women's rights and promoting youth and elections. I myself have worked with an organization called Women's Rights in Libya, where they got in touch with a lot of political leaders, people, the NGOs. The UN itself was a representative there, and actually had led us to a graduate process to promoting women's rights. And just knowing that an authoritarian country that has been conducted by a dictator for 42 years, and then you see a development such as promoting women's rights or youth, and little things such as these little campaigns on promoting women's rights and women's equality with men is already a huge step for a country, for a failed state. And this is gonna be my final point. This is for me, and now we're gonna move to me, and she's gonna give us a UN perspective about this matter.
Thank you very much, Yasin. Well, I would say that while the world has achieved progress toward gender equality and women's empowerment under the Millennium Development Goal, including access to primary education between girls and boys, women and girls continue to suffer of discrimination and violence in every part of the world. Gender equality is not only a fundamental human right, but it's only a necessary foundation for a peaceful and sustainable world. So, providing women and girls with equal access to education, healthcare, decent work, and representation in political and economic decision making is for sustainable economy and will benefit both the society and humanity on a large scale. I have here some facts about gender equality and inequality in the world. I could say that about two-thirds of countries in the development regions have achieved gender parity in primary education, which is a very successful thing. In Southern Asia, only 74 girls were enrolled in primary school for every 100 boys. This was in 1990, but in 2012, we could see that the enrollment ratios were the same for boys and girls. Another statistic shows that in sub-Saharan Africa and Western Asia, girls unfortunately still face very limitations to enter both primary and secondary schools. We also have statistics that women in Northern Africa hold less than 1 in 5 paid jobs in the non-agriculture sector. And this portion is paid employment outside the agriculture sector increased from 35% in 1990 to 41% in 2015. We could see here the improvement of gender equality. One other statistic showed that in 46 countries, women now hold more than 30% of seats in national parliament, which is as well a very good achievement. The United Nations have 17 goals for sustainable development, and gender equality is the fifth goal. And through this goal, we're launching a lot of programs, and I'll be presenting, as I saw here, one question asking for the goals of the United States, of the United Nations. Here I'll be talking about these goals. Well, first of all, we aim to end all forms of discrimination against women and girls everywhere. We aim to eliminate all forms of violence against all women and girls in public and private spheres, and this includes trafficking and sexual exploitation. We also aim to eliminate all harmful practices, such as the marriage of children. We also, especially female here in our topic, we also aim to recognize and value the unpaid care in domestic work through the provision of public services, infrastructure, and social protection policies in the promotion of shared responsibilities between male and female in the household. And finally, we also adopt some policies to enforce legislation for the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls at all the levels. Thank you very much, and I'll be happy to answer all of your questions at the end.
Thank you again, for your UN perspective about this issue. We're gonna move to our third speaker, Yasmin Abdusalami, and is a professor of sociology in Dubai. Yasmin.
Hello, everyone. So it is important to incorporate men into the theoretical framework. So let's talk about how workplaces need to adapt to the whole person, both women and men. There is no problem with female achievements. In fact, women have caught up with men in terms of education. In the United States and a number of other countries, women now actually surpass men in educational achievements. For example, if women put many more hours into these household activities than men, this greatly disadvantages women in the workplace. Realistic to expect gender inequality demand that women be available all of the time. What about the gender stereotypes? Gender stereotypes are hard to break, and like it or not, we're all prone to engage in stereotyping at one time or another. To study our biases and quantify inequality, such as the work being conducted here. Change. For example, in both Japan and the United States, public policy is an important part of increasing gender equality in the workplace and at home, but not at all fixed. We need to continue to encourage people, types, and recognize the contributions that each individual, male and female, can make to the workplace and to the relationship at home. As the third part of my is the pay gap at backgrounds, at all ages and all of levels of educational achievements, and the gap on women's individual situation. For example, among full-time workers in 2016, Hispanic and Latino, African American, American Indian, and Native Hawaiian and other Native women had lower median annual earnings compared with non-Hispanic, white, and Asian American women. And ethnic groups, African American Hispanic, American Indian, and Native Hawaiian women experienced a smaller gender pay gap compared with men in the same group that did not Hispanic, white, and Asian American women happen to be. The gender pay gap also grows with age and differences among older workers that are considerably larger than gaps among young workers. About 90% of what men are paid. After that, median
Yasmin,
earnings.
excuse me, Yasmin, can you repeat the last 30 seconds you had? You have
Yes,
been cut
sure.
off.
Yes, sure. The gender pay gap also grows with age, and differences among older workers are considerably larger than gaps among younger workers. Women typically earn about 90% of what men are paid until they hit 35 years old. After that, median earnings for women are typically 76-81% of what men are paid. As the fourth part, and our education is not an effective pay gap solution. As a rule, earnings increase as years of education increase for both men and women. However, while more education is a useful tool for increasing earnings, it is not effective against the gender pay gap of academic achievements women's median earnings are less than men's median earnings. And in some cases, the gender pay gap is larger at higher level education. Finally, some changes and solutions that can help close the wage gap are for companies, for individuals, and for policymakers. For companies, those have been vocal in their commitment to paying workers fairly. American women can wait for trickle-down changes. For individuals, women can learn strategies to better negotiate for equal pay. And for policymakers, the Paycheck Fairness Act would improve the scope of the Equal Pay Act, which hasn't been updated since 1963. And thank you so much for paying attention to me. And I'm open to any question. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Yasmin Abdussalami, for your sociologist perspective. Also, we're really lucky tonight. We have two. We have another sociologist expert, Hasna, which is gonna be our next doctor in this webinar. Hasna.
Thank you, Yasin. Hi, everyone. So I'm a social theorist, and today I will give you a short assessment of my own perspective on that subject. So the term gender equality refers to the disparities that exist among individuals based on their gender rather than objective differences in skills, abilities, or other characteristics. Gender inequalities may be obvious, such as we have a lot of examples, such as not receiving the same pay for the same job, or being given the same subjective opportunities for advancement. Despite the strides taken to eradicate gender inequality over the years, the fact is that it still remains. So there are many feminist perspectives of gender inequality, including that of liberal feminism, socialist feminism, radical feminism, and multiracial feminism. Each of these perspectives views the issue from a slightly different angle and offers different insights into the problem in addition to different solutions. However, gender equality is more than a quest for equal pay for equal work, and the social roles of females and males are often far from different but equal. Much more research is needed in order to be able to understand the extent to which gender equality is a good thing for society, and how this can be implemented. So in 21st century Western society, it's often difficult to think of women as an oppressed minority group. After all, according to our Census Bureau current population survey of 2010, females make up 50% of the total population of the United States. A slim majority indeed, but a majority nonetheless. In addition, one can see women in virtually every job and career throughout the levels of social stratification. Women are no longer relegated to the positions of wives, mothers, or secretaries, but can and do become doctors, lawyers, professors, as well as truck drivers, welders, and factory workers. Yet, despite such advances, women are significantly underrepresented in many segments of 21st century society. For example, of the 500 members of the 100 Congress, only 98 of these were women in April 2013. Although women have achieved positions in other important national leadership roles, for example, Sandra Day O'Connor, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan becoming members of the US Supreme Court, married Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice becoming Secretary of the State. They still are significantly underrepresented when compared to their majority status in the population. So, sociologically, a minority or a subordinate group is defined by 5 properties: unequal treatment, common physical and cultural characteristics that distinguish them from the dominant group, membership in the subordinate group, development of a sense of solidarity, and intermarriage within the subgroup. Women, as a general classification, fulfill virtually all of those characteristics. And women today still receive unequal treatment when compared to men. First, in 2012, the median income for year-round male workers was higher than men. The second is that women share obvious physical characteristics that distinguish them from men, as well as cultural characteristics that also differentiate them from men. For example, gender roles and stereotypes are clear example of what I was talking about. Third, being a woman is a result of a fact of birth rather than voluntary membership in a class. Fourth, although the fight for women's rights may have been going on since time immemorial, contemporary feminism in many ways has helped women to develop a greater feeling of solidarity. Thank you for listening to me, and feel free to ask me your questions and to give me your feedback and any comments if you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Hasna, for your perspective, and we were really pleased to hear all what you had to say about this issue. Finally, we're gonna have Lubna. She gonna give a HR perspective, human resources perspective about this matter. Lubna.
Hi, I'm responsible of the Human Resources Department. Indeed, over the last 80 years, women have battled to become equal with men in all aspects of life and work. Women have made enormous advances in education and career, but equality in pay and promotions in the workplace still elude them. It is well documented, widely known, and discussed that women earn less. Why is this happening? And is inequality as skewed as most think? If there is a glass ceiling, why is it there? And what can women do to navigate around it to become successful top-level executives with matching compensation? What can managers do to ensure that women have as many opportunities as men and equal pay? There are at least 3 different explanations for why women are treated as second-class citizens in the workforce. The first reason is that women are not as competitive as men. Thus, women need to become more competitive in the workforce. Women tend to be less confident and are not as competitive. The second explanation is that women do not negotiate as well as men. Men are more aggressive when negotiating resources, training, and other significant factors. Thus, women need to develop their negotiating skills. The final explanation is that women's lack of confidence in the workforce. They need to develop their self-confidence. The aforementioned skills that are needed can be developed by measuring in business administration because the curricula in most business programs teach the value of competitiveness, the art of negotiation, and the importance of self-confidence when conducting business, for example. This was my presentation as a human resources manager, and now I'm giving my turn to Yassine to give you a little conclusion about it.
So thank you, Lubna, about your HR perspective about this matter. So what I can even say about this is it was really beneficial, first of all, listening to 4 different perspectives. And my conclusion would be, from all what you've heard tonight, is pointing out the main issues of this equality of gender, especially in the workplace. And it's also a way to make people aware and more related to this problem. People have to be more involved about this problem. Men themselves have to be involved about this problem. And as we said before, we're gonna take the last 10 minutes for from our webinar for questions from our audience. And I saw a really interesting comment saying for Walid, who said good luck. And then there's Marwan Dani, who said, is gender equality a concern for men? Honestly speaking, I myself working with four women, four women in this webinar, I can say, of course, it's important for men as it's an issue for everyone. It's not because it says inequality of gender and one could directly relate to this is meant for women. Yes, it's a fact. When someone always thinks about inequality of gender, they always think about women. And this was caused by whom? And it was caused only by men. So, of course, men do feel involved about this matter. And I think more men should be more involved about this matter and in supporting and promoting this equality. As we are all human beings, we all deserve to have the same rights. And we have other questions, and I think we has already answered one of them. And
But I can repeat, Yasin, I have no
okay.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is about what are the goals of the United Nations for gender
Mm-hmm.
equality?
Yes.
Say that the goals are mainly about ending all forms of discrimination against women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
The goals are also to eliminate harmful practices and girls, such as trafficking, sexual exploitation, and also marriage of all our policies are for women empowerment for gender equality. I'm sorry, I think I can't join, but I can leave later in a comment detailed programs that we have for women empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. We also have another question. It's talking about what is the level of involvement of women in Middle Eastern countries? Since I was in Libya and I traveled around Tunisia for a little while, I can give you a little perspective about this. Unfortunately, I cannot answer the other question, which is given some statistics about statistics. What is it? Statistics on gender inequality. Since I conducted my research in Libya and a little bit in Tunisia, I'm gonna be honest, due to the recent events and saying that knowing that the Arab Spring was something very recent and there's more things happening today in Libya, we cannot have um, like actual facts. I cannot give you actual statistics since the problems are increasing every day, and if I have to give you facts, it's gonna be on a daily basis. But what I can tell you about what is the level of involvement of women in the Middle Eastern countries, the level of involvement is really high. As I said earlier, I was shocked and pleased to see a country that has lived a civil war and still live in it today. And but although all of these issues, they're still concerned about the well-being of their country and the development of their country. And we can only think that thank the women in Libya and the youth for their participation in promoting women's rights and equality of gender. And if one of the speakers have any other question to ask from our to answer for our audience.
I think I can answer the question of Hamza Lafif that is asking us to give a proper definition of the gender inequalities in workplace.
Mm-hmm.
In present day, women make up almost half of the workforce in 4 out of 10 families, Women are the equal, if not main, breadwinners as compared to their men counterparts. While women typically receive more college and graduate degrees than men, yet on average, women continue to earn considerably less. And this can be a proper definition to what gender inequalities looks like in the workplace. And I think it's not approximatively correct definition to give about this topic.
I have.
So,
Thank you, Lubna.
I
Also,
have another.
I can like also I can Lubna had said ways find more difficulties to find work as men. For example, if we take us, we can say that women can become, for example, a minister, but according to what I said now, men have like to become what is called than a woman. We're trying to that. And thank you.
Hasna, do you have something to add on that?
Yeah, I have a small and brief definition to conclude. So, gender inequality, for the question of Hamza, gender equality refers to basically refers to the disparities that exist among individuals based solely on their gender, rather than objective differences in skills, abilities, or other characteristics. So, this is my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, yes, Yasmin Abdesalami, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I want to add last thing is that I think we should forget about that thing that say that women and take care of children and men should go to work and bring money. This is a totally idea. We are living in the 21st century, so this idea should be changed. Both women and men should have equal rights and should work together and should take care of their children together.
Following, yes,
Yasin, please.
yes.
I would
Yeah.
just like to answer the two questions about the statistics of gender inequality. And the other question of Suhail Rami saying that did we do research in Morocco about this topic? Where I would like to share some statistics the United Nations. I hope that you would see them very well. Is the picture clear? Can you see the picture?
Yes, we can all see it. Hopefully our audience will be able to see it.
Yes, I really hope so. So as we could say, the issue of gender inequality exists mostly in Africa, as we can see, in this part of Asia and in this part of America. So basically, gender equality is more developed in Europe, Australia, and North America. As we can see, Morocco falls under this part, which is not very good, which doesn't have very good statistics of gender equality. So for the question on Morocco, no, we're sorry, we haven't done specific research about Morocco, but we could say from these statistics that Morocco still suffers from gender inequality. And thank you very much.
So following Wiam's words and Yasmin's also, gender inequality is a huge issue and is still affecting our lives today in our societies. And due to globalization, as Yasmin mentioned, one would say that we should not suffer from things such as gender inequality. But as a matter of fact, we still do suffer from things like this. So, to our audience that are listening to us, thank you very much for attending our webinar. I hope we answered all your questions. Thank you to our speakers, Hasna, Lubna, Wiam, and Yasmin. And hopefully this webinar was beneficial. And thank you for your for your for your listening to us.
Thank
Have a
you,
good night.
Yasin.
Thank you, Yasina. Thank you
Bye.
so much,
Have a
guys.
good night. Thank
Bye.
you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you
Goodbye.
so much.